Tinkel is lonely. At the start of our story, Tinkel is a young adult male gnome living by himself. Gnomes don't normally live alone. Tinkel is exceptional because Tinkel is a shy gnome.
Hello and welcome to our newest world building video. Here at Wild Art Fly Free, we are building a fantasy world, and we hope that you can help us. We are building our world out of stories, and our stories are made from things like plots and scenes and locations and characters. It's crazy, but it's a lot of fun. Also, everything that we create is public domain, so anyone can use it. No worries. So, if you have half an hour, why don't you sit back and see what we are about? Also, please know that we are always interested in your ideas, so if you have any ideas to share, please feel free. Thank you.
We have moved Tinkel's timeline. Now his relationship with Eastleigh and their adventure at Cryptic Tower happened 2 years before what we think of as now. We have set our now date at the day when Eeks arrived at Swanford. Note that this decision was arbitrary. We don't know how important Eeks' arrival is going to be. We just needed a date to set our local calendar to. Okay, we could probably write some interactions between Tinkel and the other residents of Swanford. They would mostly be about people who understand about shyness and sympathize with our gnome. Eastleigh is in many ways the opposite to Tinkel. How would a person give off vibes of innocence and mystery? She is open, friendly, and charismatic. And, always, Eastleigh is secretive, compared to Tinkel who tries to disappear into the woodwork so hard that everyone notices him. Tinkel has one mystery that we haven't solved yet. He has had dealings with the local mad scientist, Heavy Basher. Maybe Tinkel wanted a potion, but it might have been almost anything else you can imagine. Please share your imaginings. Is there more to our story there, or maybe even a new story? Eastleigh feels stifled and is itching to go adventuring. When she hears about a mysterious mansion on the edge of town with unexplained events, Eastleigh wants to go explore. Tinkel and Eastleigh are neighbors. Thinking that Tinkel might also be an interesting adventure, Eastleigh invites him to explore Cryptic Tower together. We still don't know what is going on at Cryptic Tower. Whatever Tinkel and Eastleigh learned hasn't been decided yet. Maybe we can decide on something once we know who is the villain of the story.
Okay, now we're just about to create some random words. So we'll start with chain forge. This looks like a little village or town out on a peninsula. We need a name for this lake. Looks like the area is mostly swampy around there. Just south of Chain Forge Peninsula, there is some sand dunes. And okay, let's see some words that are related to Chain Forge. Remember, we are just brainstorming here. So nothing we come up with is going to have potentially any effect on ChainForge, except unless we want it to. So it's give us this place to start from anyway. So there's words discourse, double-tongued, okay, two related words. Double-tongued is like a liar. Like snake-tongued. Double-tonguing, a peculiar action of the tongue by flute players in articulating staccato notes. I think that must mean quick notes. Also the rapid repetition of notes in, it says, cornet playing. So double tonguing, speaking quickly, I guess. Discourse, and making sounds quickly. Musical notes, maybe. Unimpeachable. Okay. You can't knock that guy off. Or perhaps an idea is unimpeachable. Right? Just too good. Eft. A European lizard. A salamander. Okay. Some sort of creature. Lizard or a salamander. Something to do with ChainForge and desert. Okay, well, south of ChainForge there is some sand dunes. So somehow the sand dunes might be affecting the people of ChainForge. We're mostly surrounded by a lake, and the other bit is sand dunes or desert. So that's something to discourse about. Alright, let's go to the next town, Basin Rock. Let's go with 6 words. First word is pigged. Basin Rock has something to do with pigs. Discure. To discover. Why don't they just say discover? Discure. Twill. An appearance of diagonal lines or ribs pronounced in textile fabrics. So certain fabric. Look, the twill. Maybe they discovered this fabric. I don't know what that would have to do with being pigged. Flowery. Okay, well I would think Basin Rock might have a clothing industry. A fabric industry at least. Okay, combat. To fight with. To oppose by force. Okay. So is the fabric industry particularly combative? Messrs. of Monsieur, Misters. So, just reference to man, a flowery reference to man is like Misters, but more French and flowery. Messrs. Okay, well that kind of all gives sort of a picture of there's a fabric industry where there's a certain amount of competition among these weavers and fabric creators. Alright, go to the next place. Some place up here northeast of this lake, on the northeastern edge of this lake. Is this the okay, this is the inlet side of the lake. Oh, this lake, I don't see an outlet for this lake. Some lakes are like that. Not that that matters too much. Dragon brew. So let's find some words to associate with dragon brew. We want some words to associate with the community of Dragon Brew. Sounds like, a good name for a beer. As long as you're on good, people are feeling good about dragons, your community might be okay. Start fighting with the dragons, you might have to change the name of your town. But anyway, the town is currently called Dragon Brew. It is not too far east of Vic, and it is at the northern tip of that lake, which we need a name for. Please send us names for this lake. Okay, words for Dragon Brew. Libkin, some sort of house or lodging. An interesting word for your home. Anal. No, not anal. Anal. It's about animals. So anal. These are a couple of obscure names, words, sorry. Aranios. Of the aspect of a spider's web. Arachnoid. Aranios. Okay, so things are getting a little tangled together. Something to do with animals, something to do with homes, and tangled together like a spider's web. Oh, none of these words are very easy. Tie. A close or enclosure, a croft. So another home, but maybe a little tighter. Okay, did we pick out words that just aren't English? Jejunum, the middle division of the small intestine. I think I'm just going to start again with Dragon Brew with some different words. These are just nets. Okay. Cook. That's better. Dragon Brew has to do something to do with a cook or possibly cooking. Formed. It's arranged, created, formed. Knavish. You are sort of like a knave, a young male who perhaps doesn't behave properly. Sorry. Hope we can edit this bit out. Okay, knavishness, right? Young men who seem to not know how to behave. So something to do with a cook or cooking. Something is formed. So it's getting to be kind of creative or artistic. And knavishness. Invertedly. In an inverted order. So things are kind of backwards in Dragon Brew. So this sounds like sort of a playful place, or maybe things aren't the way they're supposed to be, not in a playful way. Let's hope it's playful, but maybe there's something dark about it. A butt. To project, to terminate or border. To be contiguous, to meet. Okay, so like an abutment, a butt. Phosphonic, pertaining to or designating as certain derivatives of phosphorus. Okay, so something to do with phosphorus. Okay, that did take a dark turn. Right, phosphorus isn't known for being playful. And a butt. So things are kind of inverted, upside down, knavish, and cooked. Oh. So those are some interesting words for Dragon Brew. Okay, we got some more communities. Shattergrog. Well, that's a funny sounding name. Shattergrog. I think that might be a gnomish name. Alright, let's find some words to associate with Shattergrog. fold, meaning to lap or lay in plates or folds, right? Like folding clothes. That's pretty safe, I think, I hope, depending on what you're folding. Own, right? That's ownership, to own something. Peristeria, a genus of, oh, it's a plant. It's seed dove plant. Okay, well, peristeria is dove plant. So probably a flower of some sort. Discontinuable. Admitting of being discontinued. Okay, well, we've come to an end with that one. Discontinuable. You think they could have had to stop with the flowers? Or maybe stop with the folding of the cloth or whatever it is they were folding? Uncalm. Okay, so it was calm. Now it's not going to be calm anymore. To uncalm. To disturb, to disquiet. Well, I guess if we had to discontinue the flowers, yeah, that could cause some uncalm. Peasantly. Peasant-like. Okay, so maybe Shattergrog isn't the wealthiest place in the world. We have flowers and we fold things, and well, ownership seems to be important here, so tell us what you think. What kind of stories can we come up with Shattergrog for Shattergrog? Probably a poor town. Okay, looking around a little. Okay, we've got a couple over here we haven't done yet. Rufflefell, which looks like a city. It's a city on, okay, yeah, that's that big inlet. I don't know if you'd call that a bay, but you come a long way inland, and then you can come to Rufflefell, and that's basically across the bay in a little bit to get to Swanford. It's still quite a ways. That would take you a couple days, a few days travel. So Rufflefell, let's find some words for Rufflefell. Let's find some different words for Rufflefell. Okay, well, maybe this is insisting we gotta have interesting words. Nitrosyl. So that's some sort of chemical with nitrogen and oxygen. Certain nitro compounds is, something to do with sulfuric acid. Okay, so that's a word I understand. Sulfuric acid stuff. All right, that's nitrosyl, related to sulfuric acid somehow. Maybe we got some alchemy going on at Rufflefell. Meaning, okay, simoniac, one who practices simony. Okay, I love that. Got some recursion going on in our dictionary. Simoniac, one who practices simony, or who buys or sells preferment in the church. Okay, that sounds like a little bit of what's the word anyway? Some buying and selling preferment in the church. So some religious shenanigans going on. Elitism. Okay, related to the elitic doctrine. So there are elite. There is some I'm blanking on a word that I should know. shenanigans going on in the church, maybe with the church elite, and maybe something to do with sulfuric acid. Oh, things are getting dramatic here. Overdrown. To wet or drench to excess. Well, I hope it's not in the sulfuric acid. That would be overdoing more than overdrowning. Okay. Ananas. Okay. That's a word for a pineapple. That's an interesting idea. We've got a interesting word for a pineapple. Ananas. That's got almost the same words as Canada. And cruciform. Cross-shaped. Okay, that's getting back to religion again, at least in our world. I mean, in the world that we exist in, not in our opposite Buddhic world necessarily. Cross probably does not have a religious connotation. So something that's cross-shaped. Town itself could be cross-shaped, although it doesn't show it on the map, but maps can be distorted. So we got something to do with nitric acid, sulfuric acid, some goings on in the church, some elitism, some overly wet things, pineapple related, ananas, and cross-shaped. Well, that's something to think about for Rufflefell. Can you come up with some ideas for what these words come together relate to a town? And okay, then we have Kuwaka. Kuka. Kuwaka. Koukka. Kuwaka. And let's get some words for Kuwaka. Divinify. To render divine. Okay, we're still on the religious kick. Maybe this lake has some religious connotations. That Rufflefell and Kuwaka are both on the shores of this lake. Overthrowing. Well, that's pretty clear. We got some maybe political or religious drama going on. That people are getting overthrown. Inescapable. And it says the definition is not escapable. Thank you for that. Brocade. Furnished with feathers which conceal the feet. That could be symbolic. That could be a metaphor. Or maybe we got some birds in Kuwaka. Maybe some clothes. We just put some socks with feathers on to... Well, that would be cute. Maybe the person that came up with the fancy footwear idea should be divinified. That is an awesome idea. To go around brocading your feet. Okay, incompatibility. Okay, yeah, I think maybe we got some of that. There may be people who don't want their feet covered with feathers. Stay. Stee. Let's randomize and come up with a different word then. Inexplicability. The quality or state of being inexplicable. Yeah, okay. So, something, Kuwaka is inexplicable itself? Or the feathered footwear is inexplicable? Or just the idea of the feathers to cover the feet is inexplicable? I think that's all the towns we've got to play with right now. So that was chain forge, Basin Rock, Dragon Brew, Shattergrog, Rufflefell, Kuaka, and I think that's it. Hardly any at all. So, what can you make of any of these towns, or putting them together, or just playing around with this sort of thing yourselves? We're looking for stories about towns. You can also, from the map, what can you make out from the towns? You know, what's going on in these towns? What are the stories? We want stories.
Secrets. While Yuxi's journey to Swanford was all about manipulation, Tinkel's journey away from Swanford will be all about secrets. The big secret will be about Easley's relationship to the dragons. Tinkel had a short relationship to the girl, which has led to this wild change to Tinkel's life. In some ways, Tinkel has got what he wished for. The other side of the coin asks, is this something that a shy gnome should have wished for? So now, Tinkel has fewer choices than he ever had before. He has almost no options about where his life might lead. He is training to be a spy, and you don't flip-flop on that kind of commitment. Tinkel's first stop will be Shattergrog, about 600 kilometers south from Swanford. The average human walks at about 5 kilometers per hour, so can walk 50 kilometers in a 10-hour day. So, on a good road, Tinkel could walk from Swanford to Shattergrog in about 12 days. Assuming things don't work that well, let's say about 3 weeks walk. From the random words that Thug gave us, Shattergrog is a poor, farming community. Their main crops are flowers used for alchemy. Unlike most of the towns and cities, Shattergrog isn't on any sea coast, or lake, or river. We will say that Shattergrog isn't on a main road either. It is on the slopes of a high mountain surrounded by rugged terrain. Maybe this is near a dragon's home. The people who live with the dragon would not be poor, but maybe a community nearby might. So, what sorts of secrets might a junior spy learn at a poor place like Shattergrog? Some of the people in the community will have spent some time in the dragon's palace. How much could they know? How else might Tinkel learn? Would he sneak into important places? What sort of important places would there be in a place like Shattergrog? We really need a name for our lake, so let's just put some random syllables together. Rolling a d6 die. We want a 6-syllable word. Rolling the dice some more. Our syllables are out-walking into Ud, out-walking in Toad. This is a long name, but that's how the dice rolled. Playing around. Outer King in Toad. This is an important lake, named Lake Outer King in Toad. Dragon Brew is maybe a 10-day walk from Shattergrog. From Thug's random word drop, we are thinking that Tinkel's time at Dragon Brew might be at a restaurant or tavern. But there is something strange about the place. Also, the words suggest there is something about poison. Dragon Brew is at the north end of Lake Outer King in Toad. The lake is about 800 kilometers long, so it's like a freshwater sea. The land around the town is mostly hills and forests. We could really use some more story ideas for Dragon Brew. Do you have any ideas? We are just playing around, and would really love for you to play around with us. After Tinkel has learned what he can in Dragon Brew, he will move south to the next community. Walking for 10 days from Dragon Brew along the lake should get Tinkel to Basin Rock. Our map shows Basin Rock on the western shore of Lake Outer King in Toad. The land nearby is clear of topography, so it is probably farmland. Basin Rock seems to have a lot going for it, so it might be a larger town. Our random word drop included a reference to pigs, so that matches the idea of farmland. We think that the town might also have some textile industry. As Tinkel is moving south over the space of months, we expect him to be learning more and more about being a spy. He might also be learning about more and more important people. Tinkel is really interested in what Easley's secret is. He knows it has something to do with dragons, and that for some reason, Easley must be important to the dragons. But why? This will be the puzzle in the back of Tinkel's mind, but he must still learn about the politics and religious and other drama that humanoids get into. That is what his ultimate bosses, the dragons, are really interested in. As Tinkel moves along in his career as a junior spy, he moves further south. At the south end of Lake Outer King in Toad we find a peninsula. At the northern tip of the peninsula is the town of Chainforge. Why would a town be at the northern tip of a long peninsula? Is Chainforge a fishing village? Is there a mine at this location? What else might bring people to live here? What important people would be in a place like this? What can Tinkel learn? We have 2 more places, far to the east of Lake Outer King in Toad. Ruffelfell City seems to be full of religion and corruption. Maybe Tinkel will come back this way as he is just becoming a full-fledged spy for the dragons. South of Ruffelfell City is the town named Kupka. This sounds like a strange place where someone hides their feet by using feathers. So we have a lot to think about, and of course so does Tinkel. His bosses work for dragons, but Tinkel is not at all sure whether the dragons are the type of people that he wants to work for. But he goes along, because, well, he is being paid to learn how to learn. So why not go along and try to find out what he really wants to know? Tinkel's education has a main theme of secrets. Everywhere he goes, he is digging at the things that people don't want him to know. So, you are a clever person. What do you think about secrets? Does everyone really have secrets? Does Tinkel have secrets? What sort of climax should we have for Tinkel's story? What sort of things will our hero learn about himself? Please leave your comments in the idea section. We love to hear from you.